Hi, Karen with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I have a scrapbook layout for Kitaholic Kits using the December 2021 kit. I am using both the main kit and the mixed media kit today. And at this stage in the game, I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to do with this layout. I had no plans and I just knew I wanted to use this photo, and I was thinking I wanted to give it a bit of an homage back to the brick wall that's behind Oscar there in the photo. And I was also thinking at the time that most of my layouts this month had flowers, so I was thinking maybe don't have another layout with flowers. Big spoiler alert, this gets flowers. As you would know if you've been following me for a while, I am not scared about putting flowers on boys' layouts, and I just was not sure at all at this stage what I wanted to do, but I did know I wanted to use the stencil, and I also want to use that blue patterned paper there on the right. Vicky Booten does the most beautiful sapphire blue colours within her collections. I love them and hoard them when I can. And I have now started to get to the point where I'm thinking, okay, I sort of roughly know what I want. I'm thinking I'm going to have a quite top-heavy layout, but I do want to make sure it's got anchors at the bottom, so it's got, some connective tissue, I guess, to the whole piece of cardstock. And most of my layouts, I do tend to, where my clusters, I like them to join things. So this turns into a bit of a thirds, if you will, as we progress. So I have using some modelling paste from my stash, and I'm just smushing that through the stencil. I'm randomly using the places in the stencil. I'm not taking much notice of what words I'm actually using here, because I know that I'm just looking to have this modelling paste and the stencil as more of a texture to the page. It's not really framing it back to the actual sayings that are on this actual stencil. So as that's drying, I'm starting to think a little bit more about what I'm doing here, and I think, I know, let's have a look at these circles. Maybe I can replace what I would normally do for flowers and do circles around the page. So I fussy cut out quite a few of these circles, and I focus on mainly the blues and the greens and the yellows, and I didn't really want to put pink on this particular page. I felt that the brick wall was almost was giving a bit of a pinky, well, it was giving an orange tone, but I didn't want to put pink on this layout. And I've left this in because I want to show that when I create, my creations are often organically made. I don't always think about every single piece that I'm going to do before I start creating. I don't always have an idea in mind. So sometimes even my recordings are really long because I've changed my mind multiple times, or what I thought was going to work, once it goes on the page, it doesn't work. So yeah, I thought I'd just leave a little bit of that in because not everything's perfect and not everything comes together how you think about in your mind. Have you ever had that? I'm sure you have, because it seems to be something that I get a lot. It quite often happens if I've been creating a lot in a short amount of time as well. I want to make sure that my layouts look different, so I sometimes get a little bit stuck. But to get out of that, what I do is mixed media. And I don't necessarily create it straight up and show people. I add a few things to some pages and I just practice things with my mixed media. So I've got some samples, or I've got an art journal page. So I'll break up sometimes my creating when I'm doing that, particularly if I've got a lot of deadlines to meet. I will break up those deadlines by creating something that I don't actually share online, but it just gives me an opportunity just to not think about things too deeply and gets that sort of mojo flowing again. All right, as always, I've digressed and I've totally not talked about what I'm doing. So what I'm doing here is I'm adding some blue to the page, just using the watercolor palettes that we got in the mixed media kit as well. And I have added some water and I'm using that darker blue and that richer blue as well. And I've just created my own blue actually. So I've mixed that together on a piece of packaging and added a little bit of water to my paintbrush as well. And I'm just patting that down across the page and over and above the actual modeling paste. And I do add on some splatters a little bit later as well, which will see me do, which is pretty normal for me too, I guess. I love me some splatters. And can I just say, if you haven't got this month's mixed media kit, I strongly encourage you to get that. The watercolor palette is absolutely lovely, and the colors are so rich. What you see on the palette is absolutely what you get on the page, even when you water it down. It is absolutely lovely. So I have sped ahead a little bit here, and you can see now that I have placed some of the florals from the pack onto the page. And as I mentioned, it is very top heavy. So I've added some layers of paper, patterned paper, some of the striped one as well, and some of that darker, almost black patterned paper. And the cutouts, I've cut out some of the tags from the cutout pages. And I just couldn't resist those gorgeous little die-cut toadstools. It has absolutely nothing to do with the photo, other than the fact that it is absolutely cute as, and I couldn't help myself. So I've created that little bit of a cluster down on the bottom left-hand side there, and added a few flowers in as well, just to round that off. Just to make sure we've got a little bit more than just the toadstools sitting there at the bottom of the page. And I do actually bring this all together, and you will see it in the final layout. I do work on this off camera. Once I'd turned the camera off and everything had sort of dried, I realized I didn't like the white space between the top and the bottom. So to connect the two together, I grab the sticker sheet, and I pretty much put all the sayings that are part of that sticker sheet, and I angle them down the page for the top to meet the bottom. And I really do love how this ended up turning out. It took me a while to get there, but in the end, I am so happy with how it turned out. Of course, I added some extra butterflies to the page because they've gone everywhere. And I had the really, really little tiny ones you can see that I'm just picking up there. And I add those to the toadstools as well, just for some added dimension. And that is pretty much it. I have close-ups to share and the final layout with the connective tissue between the two sections. It definitely, now that I'm looking at it, I definitely think I made the right decision by adding those phrases and the hearts on the page as well. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your likes and your comments. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the subscriber channel on Facebook as well. And I will leave links in the description box below on where you can get the kit at the Kitaholic store. I hope you've had a wonderful December, and you've had some time to create, and you've also had some time to spend with some family. And I will see you next month. Bye for now.